With most install videos, you hear about people removing an old part and upgrading it to a newer and better part. What I'm going to be doing today is taking the current mounted radio I have in my truck, the 50-watt BTech radio, it's a GMRS radio, and I'm going to be removing that to downgrade, and I'm going to be installing this 20-watt BTech GMRS radio. Now, like I said, most people usually when they're doing mods, they're upgrading, but in this case, I'm going to be downgrading. But why exactly am I choosing to downgrade versus upgrade? Stay tuned. I'm going to go over all that and I'll explain why. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name's Chris. Right behind me, this is going to be the Fortune Taco. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get into the video and let's do a radio swap. Don't get me wrong, yes, I do enjoy having a 50-watt radio mounted in the vehicle. More power, more distance. But there is one thing that has bothered me since I installed this. Right where it's positioned, with my foot on the gas, it's always rubbing up against my leg. I didn't think it was gonna be that much of a bother when I installed it, but it definitely can be a pain. What I'm gonna be doing today is switching and downgrading to their 20-watt radio. Just the way it's designed, it works for my needs. Might not work for yours. Everyone's different. The first thing I need to do though, I need to take this 50-watt system out of the vehicle, and then we'll be able to compare them side by side before I install the 20-watt into the truck. I have the old radio removed from the truck. This is gonna be the BTech GMRS-50 version 2. Just like mentioned before, the only reason I'm taking this out is for personal preference. This is the mount that came with it. How I had that attached in the truck, I was using these MOLLE attachments from Running for Tacos. Using the Running for Tacos MOLLE attachments, I was able to attach it to my center console MOLLE. This one is specifically made by Victory 4x4, but there are multiple different companies out there that make something very similar. The way I had the 50-watt wired up, this is the power and the ground that went straight to the radio. I have that running into a relay. The power and ground coming off the relay go through the firewall and they're wired directly to my battery. For the switch wire on the relay, I added an fuse to the end of the wire. Now, where I connected this wire, the fuse panel we're gonna be looking at is gonna be right in this area. You're gonna have a white cover covering up all these fuses. Mine's off. I took it off one time and I lost it. There are 2 rows of fuses. The left row is gonna be closer to your feet when you're driving. The third fuse back on that left row is gonna be a 15 amp fuse. If you look at the cover to your fuse panel, it's gonna be labeled power outlet number 1. I then took that fuse and plugged it into there. And now every time your accessory turns on, that power outlet turns on and off with accessory mode. So that fuse is gonna trigger the relay to turn on and off only when the vehicle power is on. Now with the new 20-watt radio, I'm gonna wire it up exactly the same way. I'm gonna tap into that relay so it does the same exact thing that my 50-watt did. Let's do a little bit of comparing, and I can explain to you why I'm making the decision I'm making. You can see just how much bigger the actual main units are. The 50-watt in my right hand, the 20-watt in my left hand, comparing the remotes as well. This is the 50-watt remote. Like I had mentioned, there's just some buttons on it. The 20-watt remote actually has a screen on it and all the same buttons that this has. So you can do all of the controlling of the radio using just the remote. With the 20-watt versus the 50-watt, you do need access to the front of the unit. Another option you have, if you don't want to go the wiring route that I'm doing, it comes with its own wiring that would plug into a cigarette lighter. If you would like to just connect this, plug this into your 12-volt cigarette lighter, you can choose to turn power on and off if you didn't want to hardwire it like I'm doing in my vehicle. For wiring purposes, this is what I ended up doing. The connector that was in the end of the cigarette lighter wire that connected to this, I ended up cutting that off. Now, the end piece that I did cut off, that cigarette lighter wire, what I did was connect it to the relay harness. So using these nifty little connectors I found on Amazon, I'll have a link for those below if you would like to use them. I connected the power wire into the relay on the power wire and the ground into the ground going to my battery as well as the ground from the relay. Now, if I ever want to pull this radio out or whatever I want to do just temporarily, I have this connector connector built into the wiring harness, which is smarter than my last setup. I could then connect this. That is now connected into my relay system. Now with that Adafuse plugged into the port I talked about earlier, the relay all connected. To test out the wiring on the radio to make sure it's working properly, I'm going to turn the accessory power on. And there we have it. The radio just turned on. Now the radio's power system has built-in memory. If I was to turn the vehicle off right now with the radio in the on position, the next time it gets power, it'll be on. If I was to turn the radio off and turn the vehicle off, it won't turn back on unless I turn the power on. Turn the vehicle off. The power to the radio cuts off. With the vehicle's accessory power back on, if I manually power the radio off using the power button on the radio itself. So right now the truck's on, but the radio's off. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the truck off, and then I'm gonna turn the accessory power back on. And the radio still stays powered off because of the memory in the power system of the radio. It remembers the last function and the state it was in, and it'll go back to that same state even when it has power running to it. Now with every product we install, nothing's gonna be perfect. There's always gonna be pros, there's always gonna be cons. One thing I never paid attention to until I was going to set this up in the truck for the first time, for some weird reason, the back of the mic on the new radio, it doesn't have your typical mount from like a CB radio, GMRS radio. I'm sure this one has an easy solution. Shouldn't be that difficult, but now I just need to figure out a new way to connect this. BTech, if you see this video, leave a comment. Let's talk about it. I'm curious as to why this design changed. That's gonna be it for the video. The next thing I have planned actually is gonna be doing a new antenna system. One of the first videos I made on my YouTube channel was the bull bar antenna I installed on my front bumper. I did not like the mount that I had on here. It was the X clamp by Rugged Ridge. I ended up having issues with it. It kept wobbling, wiggling. I had the antenna kind of almost fall off completely on a trail. A little bit of update on that. The Rugged Ridge X clamp. I'm not a fan. It did not stay stable. It did not hold to the truck. I ended up getting mad. I threw the thing away before I should have did like an update video, but I threw it away. And then I was trying to rig up my own system to make it work, and while doing some custom work, I ended up cutting through the cable for my Midland antenna. As of right now, that thing is dead. This is gonna be it for the video. If you have any questions for me or any questions regarding the BTech radio system, drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a thumbs up. It only takes you a second to do it, and it means a lot to me, and it also helps these videos be more successful and get seen by more people. If you enjoy my content and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can see all my future videos I make, and it really helps support the channel and support myself in doing what I love. Just creating content, creating videos, and sharing information with you guys. I appreciate you sticking around all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next video.